Hey everybody, welcome to the next chapter of Cliffhanger, the serial talk show. Today we're going to be taking a look at Zorro's Black Whip, starring Linda Stirling.
No matter who he is, he's not going to come in here and smash what I've built up. We're running this territory to suit ourselves, and we can keep it that way if we keep statehood out.
If there must be some way to clear you of this ridiculous charge.
Black Whip might even track down the bandits and recover the money.
That's a big order, Vic.
Anything the Black Whip undertakes is a big order.
That's true. I'll do everything I can to help, and I'll let you know what happens.
The Black Whip.
I'm your co-host, Kendall Fontenot, and along with me is Patrick Bennett. How you doing, Patrick?
Hey, good, Kendall. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. So we're talking about Linda Stirling in Zorro's Black Whip.
Black Whip, 1944, Republic Pictures, 12-chapter serial. What did you think about it, man? Did you like it?
I liked it. It's not one of my favorites. It's mainly because of all the horse chases. It's a
Western, man.
Yeah, it's a Western. I get that, and I understand that they have to make, since the Black Whip, no one knows everyone assumes it's a man.
Right.
Everyone assumes it's a man, and in the first episode it is. But whenever Linda Stirling takes over the role, she doesn't say anything once she puts the mask and the suit on.
Right.
And it's her chasing everybody down and shooting a lot of the time. I enjoyed it, but it's just not one of my favorites. I will say that I thought overall the special effects in this one were really good.
Yeah, well, that's the Lidecker team heading it up over at Republic.
I was really impressed with the special effects, even though they reused a lot of footage.
Right.
The special effects, like the stagecoach or the coach whenever it goes over the mountain.
Right, over the cliff. I mean, it had literal cliffhangers in a bunch of characters. Somebody's going off the cliff.
And I loved like the avalanche scene.
Yeah.
Where the Black Whip and the government agent, I can't remember.
Was it Vic?
Vic Gordon.
Vic Gordon.
Whenever they're inside that I don't remember what it was. There was the avalanche on top of them, and then
that ranch house.
Yeah, and then whenever they went to the mine, and the Black Whip goes into that tent, and everything, the whole tent explodes. I thought that looked real good too.
Yeah.
And there was one particularly violent part where the Black Whip, Vic Gordon, and a couple of Hammond's men. For those of you who've never seen this, Hammond is the main bad guy in this one, but they're fighting with the Black Whip and Vic Gordon. And I don't remember which guy it is, but he picks up a pitchfork and he stabs down, and all you see are the Black Whip's boots, and you see him jump up. I mean, it looked violent, and I was like, man, how are they going to get out of that one?
Yeah, he throws that saddle.
Yeah, he throws the saddle in the next episode.
Yeah.
But
well, let's talk about the title, Zorro's Black Whip. Now the name Zorro, the word Zorro is not mentioned a single time in this whole serial. It's only in the title itself. And I read the Republic, they couldn't use the character Zorro, but they wanted to capitalize on the 1940 remake of The Mark of Zorro with Tyrone Power. Yep. It was very successful. They wanted to try to capitalize on that and all the Zorro fans. So they threw the word Zorro in the title. And of course, Linda Stirling was dressed pretty much like Zorro, you know, all black, rode a black horse. I mean, Zorro used a whip. She didn't have a sword, but so they kind of fooled people into coming to watch this one, thinking it was a Zorro, you know, Zorro serial, but it wasn't. But it was just the black whip. But I thought it was a cool character. And like you said earlier, the first chapter, the black whip's a man. It's and the man gets killed, and then his sister takes over the hero identity of the black whip, and she plays it throughout. But just with so people know what the story is. We're talking about all these characters. You want to just kind of give a little synopsis of the story?
Okay. Well, in the beginning, Idaho is there's a push for Idaho to become a state, and Hammond and his gang are going through, and they're threatening people, and they're raiding people, and they're making a lot of money off of people. And they know that once the government comes involved, once the Idaho becomes a state, then the federal government can actually become involved, and it'll make their operation a lot more difficult to run. So they're fighting to keep Idaho a territory.
Right.
And the head of the local newspaper is Randolph Meredith. And Randolph Meredith is leading the push for statehood, at least locally. And he is the Black Whip in the first chapter. And he passes away. I'm not going to say how, but he passes away in that first chapter. And his sister, Barbara, Linda Stirling, she takes up the mantle of the Black Whip.
The beautiful.
Also, what's that?
Beautiful Linda Stirling. That's my favorite serial actress of all time, man. I thought she was gorgeous.
But she takes over as the Black Whip, and then there's a government agent who's there in secret, Vic Gordon.
Vic Gordon.
He's there. He's the one that's supposed to bust up this gang, and it's really the Black Whip that does all the work. And with each chapter, just like you said, Patrick, every one of them ends with almost every one of them ends with a literal cliffhanger. Somebody's going over the edge of something every time, and that's the basics of the story.
You're talking about the agent, Vic Gordon.
Yeah.
What about that actor, George Lewis?
He was actually tied to a couple of other Zorro projects.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to mention. Go ahead. You want to talk about it?
There was it Zorro's Ghost?
Yeah, but I was going to mention the Disney TV series.
Yeah, he was in the 1950s Disney Zorro series. He played Zorro's dad, right?
Alejandro, yeah.
And
Don Alejandro de la Vega.
And his name's George Lewis, but I'm assuming that's a stage name because he was a Mexican actor. He was Mexican. His lineage is Mexican, and he was probably the only legitimate Mexican actor in the entire Zorro's Black Whip serial, and he did a real good job. He tended to get into trouble a lot. He was always getting captured by Hammond's men, or he was going over the cliff in a lot of those sequences, and the Black Whip would have to come in and save him.
And then one chapter, he actually became the Black Whip.
Briefly, yes, he did, to throw off Hammond's men, because they were starting to figure out that they were trying to figure out who the Black Whip was, and finally decided, well, it's got to be Barbara Meredith.
Yeah, I mean, they're fighting this petite woman, but they have no idea they're fighting a woman.
Right.
That was crazy. And you can look at her. I mean, she filled out that outfit pretty awesome.
One of my favorite lines in the serial is whenever Hammond is talking to one of his henchmen, And he says, yeah, it's, Barbara Randolph has to be the Black Whip. And the other guy's like, but this guy can outshoot us. He can outride us. There's no way it could be a woman.
Be a woman. And then, remember they found the clue. She left her boot.
Yeah.
And he said something about it's no bigger than a woman's boot. Oh, it can't be a woman, So look for the man with the freakishly small feet.
And another thing what I liked about the Black Whip is she had a hideout, and the entrance to the hideout was behind a waterfall.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
I liked that. That was really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You probably know a lot more about Linda Stirling than I do. I know she was the Tiger Woman, but wasn't she a model and a stage actress and all kinds of other stuff?
She was, man. I read one time that she won a scholarship, an acting scholarship to a school in Hollywood. And when she arrived, the school had closed. So she was in Hollywood, nothing to do, and she became a showgirl. Started being in, stage plays, dance numbers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Until she could work her way into acting, getting small roles and stuff. But that's kind of sad, though. You get out of high school and you get a scholarship, and then your dreams are crushed when you get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, she did it. But her beauty and that people recognized her right away as someone with talent. So it did take her long to really become a major Hollywood actress. I mean, she was a major serial actress. But she was in at least 5, maybe 6 serials that I know of from Republic.
Huh.
But I'll tell you something about Linda Stirling. After she finished her acting career, she went to UCLA and got a PhD in English, and she became an English professor at Glendale College in Glendale, California. Yeah. And I mean, this was like when she was in her 50s and she started teaching, and she taught there at least 20 years before she retired. So that's pretty cool. So she had, kind of 2 careers, and she nailed both of them. I thought she was a fantastic actress, and I imagine she was a great teacher if she went that far with it. But the director of this film, Spencer Bennett,
okay.
Dude, just for Republic Pictures alone, he directed 100 serials. And he's become known as the king of the serial, director. Leonard Maltin used to talk about him, saying how he was the king of serial directors. But can you imagine directing 100 serials?
Yeah.
I mean, that's longer than a feature film movie,
Yeah, most of them were around 12 to 15 chapters.
Yeah, so you're looking at 3 or 4 hours per serial,
right?
Compared to back then, a feature-length movie was probably an hour, just a little over an hour.
Yeah, the majority of, at least the ones that I've watched, the majority of them were like an hour and 15 minutes tops.
Yeah, so his credentials, man, and that's just 100 serials. I saw. Try to think what it was. It was something like. On IMDb, I forgot how many credits he had. Was it 300 and something? I have to look it up, but I want to say he had like 300 and something film credits, film and television. I didn't make a note of it.
Republic must have been a good company to work for.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of actors in those serials, not necessarily the stars, but a lot of guys that would just appear in multiple serials. And
right. They're under like contract by Republic, so they worked in anything they needed them in.
Right, but some of these guys had 250, 300 appearances.
Right. In
Republic serials, and they were never a star. They were always a henchman at best. They were a henchman. They were a bad guy that got shot by the hero.
I'll tell you something I read a while back. These actors, they're under contract, and they would get basically a scale day rate to come act. So say you had a star like Linda Stirling. Say that how they filmed all the principal photography first in a movie, and then they go back and they'd film other stuff like the stunts and the stuff that didn't require the principal actors and that. Okay, well, a lot of those extras, they reuse them in the same serial. You might come this day and you're in this scene, they kill you, and they slap a mustache on you, change your hat and a different colored shirt, and you're in the next scene. fighting in a bar with somebody. You might be in the same serial 5 or 6 times. And that's how they saved on budget. You know, they'd hire one actor to be all these multiple roles. But with that said, like Linda Stirling might be paid the same day rate as an extra that's in it, it's on contract, okay? But she might be in it 5 days. He might be in it 30 days. So he makes way more money than the leading actress, you know? That's pretty crazy for back then. You know, that it's not like now where you're a big star and your agent negotiates a huge salary for you to be in a film. Back then you were under contract, and what you signed that contract for is what you get paid. And usually it was for a day rate, you know. You might sign a contract, I'll be in 5 pictures for you at this day rate, you know, $250 a week or something like that, you know.
And they would work all day long.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you check in for an 8-hour day. You were there all day long. Sometimes through the night.
My Adventures of Gorilla Bob serial that I've been working on. It's kind of funny. I'm talking about how they would slap a mustache on you and change your hat and you're in the next scene. Well, I did a lot of similar stuff, man. I got the same actors playing. They play ninjas. They play adventures with pith helmets. They'll put on a wig with dreadlocks and they're natives, you know. I just reuse the same guys over and over. So that's pretty funny. I know their pain, their struggle. But yeah, Linda Stirling, we're talking about Spencer Bennett, director in this. He directed her prior to this in The Tiger Woman, which was Linda Stirling's first serial. And then they worked together in Zorro's Black Whip. But they went on to work together in Manhunt of Mystery Island and the Purple Monster Strikes. That might have made more together. That's just something I found for a quick search I did earlier. So, I mean, they had a working relationship there. I thought that was pretty cool.
Now, I have never seen The Tiger Woman. That's one that I need to check out. I have not seen that one. I know it's a pretty popular one.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have enjoyed it, but I've just never watched it. I'm going to have to check it out.
Well, if we get to have, I know with this COVID stuff, we're waiting to see if Serial Fest will definitely be a go this month. But if it is, we're planning on showing a couple chapters of it. You can check it out there.
Well, Zorro's Black Whip was part of what? There were 5 Republic serials?
Dealing with Zorro title?
There was Zorro Rides Again,
Ghost of
Zorro's Fighting Legion, Zorro's Black Whip, Zorro's Ghost, and I missed one. And then there was the Don Daredevil Rides Again, where they could not use Zorro, so they scrapped it and made this new character, Don Daredevil.
Right.
Yeah. And then I think they reused footage from the Black Whip in Don Daredevil Rides Again, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I'll go ahead.
I was going to say the Black Whip's costume. What'd you think of it?
I liked it.
Yeah,
but I mean, I'll be honest, man. Anything that is from the 1880s, 1860s to 1880s, any Western featuring, whether they were Mexican outlaws or they were like the governor or whatever, they were the good guys. I love those types of that style. The stitching with the floral stitching, right. The flourishes, I guess you'd call it on there.
It looked awesome to me.
Love that style. And then like her hat had the what you call them around it. I don't even know what they're called.
Little concha.
And then she had the scarf instead of the mask.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that costume. She looked great in it, but it was a cool looking costume too.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, anything featuring Mexico from that time period, the dress, man, the costumes, they're so cool. I love those costumes.
We're talking about the incredible stunts in this series. I noticed when Linda Stirling would jump on that horse and take off, I was thinking, man, that can't be Linda Stirling riding that horse, that fast and doing that stuff. And so I looked it up, and it was a stunt woman named Babe DeFriest. she was just a Republic contract stuntwoman that was in a lot of serials. And she played Linda anytime Linda had to do a stunt. I thought that was pretty cool. I'd like to look up her and see more about her career, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, the stunt people never get the credit.
Yeah.
And at least in my opinion, they never get the credit that they deserve.
And you know who Yakima is?
What's
Yakima
that? Say
Canut. Have you ever heard of him?
Yakima?
Yakima Canut or Canute?
Yeah. He's in the credits for this one, isn't he?
Dude, he's like the king of the stunt men. Like we were talking with Bill about, you know, the stunt where Zorro's fighting Legion, where, you know, he's going under the horses and all that.
Yeah, he's the one that does that.
Did all these stunts that you see.
That's cool.
He had a very good career with stunts. Incredible guy. You ought to look him up. I saw on YouTube one time they had an interview with him. Pretty amazing.
And you know, they're really the people that make the actors look good.
Yeah.
Because all those cool scenes, they're doing that. It's not
Lee Major's song. I'm the unknown stuntman that makes Eastwood look so good, fine or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, you know, they don't get any credit for it. I mean, they get paid, but they don't get the same, even money wise. They have a tougher job than the actors do, and they just don't get the credit that they deserve. Do the Oscars even have a stunt category yet?
They should. They definitely.
I know there's been a push for one, but I don't
know if they ever actually started or not. But they definitely should.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be cool if they would name it after somebody like Yakima. I mean, that would be cool in his honor, just to have some type of award presented to like Stunt Person of the Year, or something like that. Even if it's not the Oscars.
Didn't Tom Tyler get his acting career started by being a stuntman?
I'm not sure.
I think he was in some westerns, getting punched out and stuff. And
yeah, he had a lot of bit parts in westerns, and he probably got hit a few times.
Like Burt Reynolds, he started off as a stunt guy.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, one more actor I want to talk about. The comic relief in this serial.
Lucien Littlefield.
Yeah, played 10 Point. What do you think about him?
He was needed. He was definitely needed in the serial, because other than him, it was pretty much a straightforward dramatic western.
Yeah.
There really wasn't a lot of humor in the serial. Now I know in the final chapter, you know, he was always drinking his tonics,
right,
and all that different stuff. That last one that he drank, when he started dancing around the room, I mean, it was funny. I don't think that would fly nowadays. People wouldn't like that, but back then it worked. It was hilarious, and I loved how he didn't know who the Black Whip was, and he would call, because at one point he calls Barbara, and he tells her that Hammond thinks she's the Black Whip, and he delivers the line in a way like, "Can you believe it? They actually think you're the Black Whip," and he's talking to the Black Whip the whole time he's doing this. But yeah, he was definitely a necessity. He was a much needed comic relief in this serial. Well, everyone, that's all we have for this week's episode of Cliffhanger, the serial talk show. We covered as much as we could about Zorro's Black Whip, starring Linda Stirling and Vic Gordon. If you guys have any questions or comments to make about Zorro's Black Whip, if you like Zorro's Black Whip, or perhaps one of the actors or actresses in the serial is one of your favorites, let us know in the comments section. And if you have any idea of any type of serial that you want us to talk about, leave us a comment and we'll be sure to get into an episode. Thank you for joining us.
Right. See you next week.